Week 10, trade deadlines, a la fiesta. Some teams are happy, some teams are sad. There's some little kid in New York crying his eyes out because Sauce is no longer on the Jets. The Shoe's trying to recruit this family. It's insane this week. Insane. Nutmeg, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well. Obviously, as we'll get into it, some significant news for my team to be a little bit excited about. But unfortunately, Week 10 did does start off on a little bit of a somber note with Marshawn Nealon of the Cowboys, unfortunate passing at the tender age of 24. Earlier reports were via suicide. So obviously more details to come out. We don't want to speak too much, but just to pay reference to a bit of a very tragic loss at an extremely young age, and proof that things can affect you when you're a millionaire athlete.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Um, So now that the Cowboys are on a bye this week, so we won't get to see a spirited effort in his memory, but maybe next week we'll see a little bit of juice out of the Cowboys to honor Nealon's memory.
No, definitely for sure. Young life lost too soon. Just goes to show, doesn't matter, money situation or anything. We all deal with issues, and sometimes, unfortunately, the demons get the best of us. So prayers to his family and to the Cowboys nation.
Yes, indeed. All right, now into the games this week, and I can't particularly say, especially the way the Falcons have been playing of late, that this marks one of the better games on the slate, especially since my Colts need a rebound. However, at the trade deadline, we made the biggest splash acquiring Sauce Gardner. We needed help at the cornerback position, so what do? Carly Ursay says, "F them picks," and goes and gets the best corner in the game.
Yes, but there's a bigger picture to this. Yeah, you say F those picks. So basically, what you've said is Daniel Jones is the man for the foreseeable future. Because yeah,
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of an undertone in that.
there's no picks. There's no picks to in the draft to say, all right, let's see what happens. And gosh forbid, there's a free fall. There's Daniel's your man. So I think when you can get a player of Sauce's caliber, you got to do it. You guys are playing for now. You know, the Rams went with this theory of F these picks and got themselves a Super Bowl. So this could work. This could work in the favor. I think he's going to be a building block for that defense for years to come. He's young. He's talented. I've always liked Sauce Gardner. I think he's incredible. I think he's highly talented, and he definitely will shore up that defensive, secondary for sure.
And I also noticed that he's locked up till 2030. So 5 years of not having to worry about a contract dispute from likely your best defender.
Hey, as long as he's happy, that's what counts, But as we've seen in the past, contract length doesn't mean anything, especially in the NFL. But I think he's happy to be on a team that's actually playing for something and not the number one pick in next year's draft. So I think you're going to see a very spirited effort out of him to show the world that the Colts made the right choice in going after him. It'll be fun to see how this team bounces back against Atlanta over yonder. So I think it'll be an interesting game.
Yeah, good point to bring up there because earlier in this season you were very down on Sauce. So do you think that was just an effect of playing for the Jets, who were very miserable, and being on a playoff contender, potential Super Bowl contender, brings back the old Sauce?
It very well could have been, when you're playing on a team and you're consistently losing, it's going to wear on you. I don't care who you are. Some guys hide it better than others, and I think probably with the way that organization's been run and a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, I think it was time for him. He just needed a change. Now, The funny part is he didn't even know he was getting moved till it happened. He hadn't asked to get out of New York. He was content there. He wasn't happy with losing, but he was content being a Jet. So when he was told he was getting moved, he was shocked. But I think this is gonna he's gonna rejuvenate his career a little bit, and I think you're gonna see Sauce really pick it up this year.
Yes, and interestingly enough, now this very much started what turned out to be a Jets fire sale. Mr. Kinnan also dealt to the Cowboys, and oddly enough, Breece Hall not traded. And so the Jets now have to host the Browns after having shed so much top defensive talent. I mean, I guess the Browns don't have a good offense, so maybe they didn't need a lot of top defensive talent to hold down Dylan Gabriel. But at the same time, that's a lot of very good players to lose and go into your next game immediately.
Yeah, so you basically said, okay, we'll get rid of our, all pros, cornerback, great D lineman, and we'll keep Breece Hall. Now, not to take anything away from Breece Hall, but I'm sure if you're going to get rid of those two guys, you might as well just do the thing and just get whatever you can. It's time to move on. I would have dealt Hall. Why not? You would have gotten more picks, and you could have basically probably turned this franchise somewhat around next year. But no. So basically it's Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Oh wait! I forgot Alan Lazard, right? I forgot Alan Lazard.
Yeah. Oh gosh, he's still there. He didn't get jettisoned in the Rodgers.
Oh no, they love him there. So I guess maybe the Jets felt, let's keep Breece Hall. He's a fan favorite, so the fans totally don't hate us. But it's too late for that. It is what it is. So we'll see what this team does. Maybe they'll feel a little something and want to play well on Sunday, or they're just going to pack it in and be like, you know what, you guys have basically taken the heart and soul out of our defense for the most part. Why do we care?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of amazing between 5 or 6 first and second round picks over the next 2 years for the players you got, and the rumor was that they were fielding calls for Breece Hall. It's kind of amazing that they couldn't have gotten a similar package for a player of his talent.
Even if they threw you a couple second rounders, why not? You can package those second rounders, get yourself a low end first rounder. It's not like the Jets can be picky on what they want. Like, they need help everywhere. Right. So beggars can't be choosers, but it's the Jets, and this is what the Jets do at their best. Sometimes, they make one good move and then 4 or 5 bad moves, and here we are. So, Jets fans, I'm sorry for you, but it is what it is, and who knows what your future is going to be. But, win one for the Gipper on Sunday. Go ahead.
That's right. Against Dylan Gabriel. Can't be that hard. All right. Enough of this low hanging fruit. Let's talk about some bigger games. Your Bucs hosting Drake Maye and the Patriots. Now, what's the bigger concern here facing the Patriots? The state of your defense with the linebacking concerns, or the fact that your receiving core very much looks like a phrase you often use with the Niners, the MASH unit, and potential to keep up with Drake Maye?
I'm not worried about my wide receiver squad. You see who I got? I got Tez Johnson, Sterling Shepard. I got guys. I'm good. I got Emeka Ibuka. That's all I need in my life. No. We're going to go in with what we got. And, minus 2 losses, it's worked. I can't, it is what it is. You hold water till, some guys come back in a couple of weeks, hopefully. You got to give the Patriots credit. They've played well. Now, I believe they're starting to get into a stretch of their schedule where they're going to start playing some, and I hate to use the term real teams, but teams that, are higher end. And now we're going to find out what New England is all about. I've sung the praises of Drake Maye all year. I've always liked him. I think he's got talent. We're going to see what happens. What it comes down to is, not turning the ball over. New England's going to have to be able to run the ball. They're going to have to be able to run the ball, and the Bucs are a top 5 run defense. So it's going to be a situation of as it is every game. Bowles is going to make New England throw the ball, and that's how we live and die. And if it's a situation where they get into a lot of 3rd and longs, get ready to see the blitz packages, because that's one of Bowles' specialties. There's not one blitz he doesn't like. He will blitz eat ways to Sunday. It'll be a hot mess. So we'll see what happens. If Baker can, keep it 3rd and manageable, it'll be a good game. But like I said, I've been impressed with New England so far this year. We're going to see what happens. Hopefully they're not reading their press clippings and, come in here feeling a little extra. Because when you do that, we've seen teams this year who have gone in thinking, they're it. They've been Green Bay reading the press clippings, and look at that.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's going to be a fun game. I don't know. As long as we all come out healthy, I'm good.
No more injuries. There's enough. Don't put any more on the fire.
We got the cavalry hopefully coming in the next couple of weeks with Bucky, Chris Godwin, and some other guys. So we'll just continue to do what we do. And if Baker bakes, it'll be all right.
I think turnover battle will be one to watch, which sounds kind of cliche to say, but Drake Maye is one that's survived a couple games with multiple turnovers. He had a couple against the Falcons. They still won. He had a few against the Steelers. They still won. There's games where they've hung in there or outright won the game, and even despite Drake Maye being a little careless or being unfortunate with some tipped passes. So the turnover might be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, that's going to be key, especially against Tampa, because they'll make you pay. So it's going to be like I said, that's why the run game is going to be so important for New England. They've got to be able to run the ball. If they can't run the ball, it's going to be tough for them. They've had a decent balance with the run in the pass, and like I said, Drake Maye's made some great throws this year. He's been electric. He's been better as advertised, but you get to this point of the year, you need everything. You need everything running, and that's your pass and your run game. So we'll see.
On to your usual MASH unit this year, the San Francisco 49ers. They host the Rams. And the Rams are kind of playing extremely well right now, and they just got Puka Nacua back. So this is an interesting one. The Niners, we've kind of seen some up and down. I mean, they whooped up on the Giants last week, but that's the Giants. So, I don't know if that's a bellwether from rebounding from that loss in Houston. Is this going to be pretty competitive because they know each other so well, or are the Rams going to roll on this because the Niners are closer to that Texans loss than they are to this Giants win?
This game is going to be competitive. The Niners call this Rams week. I've seen some TikToks and stuff, and the players know, like when these two teams get together, I don't think it matters what the record is. They know each other so well. They play hard. So I don't know if it's going to be a walk in the park for the Rams. It could be a situation where the game is close and then, the Rams slowly pull away. Like you said, Puka's back. But at this point, I can't just, shrug off the Niners. They've won games. Like I said, they're the walking MASH unit, and they've pulled off wins, and they're sticking around. If they can get any semblance of health, they could be a scary team. But that also begs the question of, is Mac Jones continue to be the guy, or once Brock comes back, he takes over, is this team still move the same way? We don't know when that's going to be. So for right now, it's the Mac Jones show, and Mac Jones has had a hell of a season so far. I've got to give him a lot of credit. If this game is somewhat close, I wouldn't be surprised if he somehow, pulls it out himself.
Blue ice words from a downtrodden Falcons fan.
I don't know. I there's no sympathy. I can't give it. Hey, can't do it. I can't do it. You know, it's one of those things. Like I'm not. You know, everyone preseason was like the Falcons were it. They were giving them Super Bowl love, and good old Raheem Morris said, "Nah, let's take it down another path." The Falcons are the Falcons. We know that, and I'm sure we'll get, we'll get into them. But got to give Mac Jones his flowers. I think this game is going to be closer than what people think. I do think the Rams will pull it off. Because don't forget, the Rams have had a couple games where we were like, oh, okay, here we go. And then, they somehow squeak it out, and it's not this dominant offensive performance either. The Niners know how to play defense. They've still got some key guys. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, what do you like? How? I mean, we always have this back and forth on Daniel Jones versus JT for MVP. Well, I mean, what is McCaffrey's real MVP case right now, considering the injuries that they've sustained, and he's back to kind of his all-world playing level.
Mac Jones is the MVP of that team.
Oh, you're just all in on quarterbacks. It doesn't matter what running backs do. Mr. riding high on Saquon Barkley. Now you're like, no more running backs.
No, I didn't say that. But let's be real. Let's be real. Mac Jones has played really well. If it was honestly, anybody else in that position, I don't know if they're that good. Mac Jones has made some great throws. Yes. But you expect that from CMC. But here's the caveat. We're waiting for his leg to fall off because he always gets injured. So it's like every time he plays, you're like, is this the game? Is this the game? Because everyone else around him has gotten injured. Maybe he's just bad luck and the Niners should just trade him and get what they can. Think about this. Everyone else, Fred Warner goes down, everybody's down, but there's CMC living the dream, doing his thing. And I'm not knocking him, but Mac Jones has been the glue to that offense, really has. So, I'll give them both co-MVPs, but I'm giving Mac Jones a lot more love.
CMC is every other year. He's all pro, and then he plays 3 games.
Yeah, because I'm just waiting for it to come across the ticker, card it out, knee or something, and then here we go again. But no, CMC is, he is carrying a lot of that offense because that offense really is hurt. The wide receivers are not what they used to be a few years ago, and this offense is constantly changing, almost week to week, because A, you don't know who's healthy, and B, they've got to win in different ways. So I'll give CMC credit, but you've really got to be impressed with Mac Jones and how he's been able to keep this team afloat.
Yeah. Now we have some fun making fun of the primetime slate this year, and the lack of opportunities we've had to redo our show. So this week the NFL got it right. And we'll start with the Monday Nighter just because we always have so much fun talking about the Packers. So coming off that very disappointing loss to the Panthers, and of course the loss to Tucker Kraft for the season, they host the champs. The Eagles come in, and the Eagles, they've been a little up and down, but they're still in first place as long as they don't get in that I feel too comfortable mode because the East is awful. Is this the type of game where the Packers play the competition, so we see, the enthused Packers, or are they kind of really that limping dog here, and Eagles are going to whoop up on them?
Yeah, no. Sorry, Packer fans. This is going to be ugly. This is really ugly. Tucker Kraft out for the year. He literally was the glue to that offense. Really was. I don't trust the wide receivers. It's going to be Josh Jacobs and a prayer at this point. Like that offense is going to drastically change. Without Tucker Kraft, it's a situation of the run game is going to have to perform. And yes, they do have some talented wide receivers, but now the Eagles defense can hone in on them even more because you don't have to worry about the tight end. You don't have to worry about that. So it's, a couple wide receivers and Josh Jacobs. So the defense can hone in a lot better. Plus, good old Jordan Love. What Jordan Love are we getting this week? the guy who's going to be, precise and make great throws, or Mr. I got to try to be Brett Favre Jr. and make 3 or 4 throws where you're like, what the hell were you thinking? No, I think the Eagles are really going to want to make a statement. And I think, unfortunately, the Packers are the victim. And I think the Eagles are going to handle business.
Do you think, because this is also a past favorite topic of ours, which Eagles will we see as far as how they choose to exploit the Packers? Is it going to be Saquon running up the middle and punishing them, or is Jalen Hurts going to throw it around the yard?
It might be a little bit of both. Of course, the Packers defense has improved. They got Micah Parsons. I'm not taking anything away from their defense, but I think what this offense is going to do is kind of trying to stretch them out a little bit. And the Eagles have so many weapons on offense. I think you're going to see a little bit of everything.
Hopefully, no enough to keep AJ Brown happy.
I think at this point, AJ's like, whatever, man. Just I get the ball when I get the ball, whatever. It is what it is, man. But if we make it to the Super Bowl, you're gonna throw me the ball 50 times. I think he's just okay with it. And then once the contract runs out, he's gonna go somewhere else and just live the happy life. But I don't trust the Packers. I think they're just really inconsistent, and I think this is the type of game where the Eagles are gonna say, hey, people have been doubting us. We're going to show you why we can repeat this year, and it's going to be ugly.
Where do you think the problem lies with the Packers defense? I mean, you've got Parsons, but is it more on the back end? Is it more up front?
Up front is solid. Up front is good. I think sometimes, they get a little lax in the secondary. So, but when you've got such push up in the front, you don't have to worry about your secondary because you're getting easy picks. Your life's a lot easier when your front seven is handling business. But they can't sit back this week because you got AJ Brown, you've got Smith coming through, and everybody else. There's going to be Goddard. Like this offense is stacked. It's just they've been inconsistent. That's the problem. But they're still able to pull out the wins. I think this might be a game where everything just clicks for some reason.
Well, that creates the interesting matchup because, of course, Philadelphia's offensive line is recognized as one of the best units in the league. So if that's where Green Bay's strength is and Philly can hold them at bay, then maybe Jalen Hurts is kind of picking apart the back end of the defense.
Very true. Very true. It's going to be who makes that mistake first. And then the floodgates open. And unfortunately, my money's on, Jordan Love to make that mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. The people, when people trash Jalen Hurts, they also forget that he really is not very turnover prone.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, now the other primetime game, the Sunday nighter, we went a little backwards, but that's okay because I think Philly Green Bay had more juice. But this one, Pittsburgh goes out to LA and the Chargers, and this is another one like, which team do we get? Which Steelers team do we get here? Because on one hand, you could look at the Chargers and be like, okay, their offensive line is decimated. 3 stars are hurt. Joe Alt just had season-ending surgery. But the Steelers, we've seen the Steelers lose a big one recently as far getting picked apart by the aforementioned Jordan Love, and then of course withstanding Daniel Jones's aerial assault and beating the Colts. So which Steelers team do we get here?
I don't know. Like it's going to be interesting. The reason being is the Chargers defense is good and they're fast. So it's the quick strike offense, quick passing attack of the Steelers versus the quick secondary of the Chargers. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. If they can get pressure on Rodgers, it's going to be interesting to see how this plans out. Offensively, I think it just comes down to if the Chargers can withstand the Steelers rush. Like you said, they've got holes all over the place on that offensive line. So it's going to be interesting what the offensive plan is for the Chargers. The run game is going to have to be paramount. It's probably going to be a lot of quick passing. These offenses may actually look similar, because Herbie is great. He's got legs, but he's going to have to throw the ball, and he's going to have to throw it quick. So it's just going to be interesting to see how that Steelers defense goes up against that mash unit of an offensive line, because that's what their offensive line is. It's truly a mash unit. It's sad. It really is. It's sad because the Chargers, this year we were like, okay, this could be it. But when the injury bug hits, man, it's hard. It's really hard. And when it's your offensive line, that's tough to come back from. So we'll see. But I almost want to go with the Chargers. I just feel they have just a little something. I think they just have a little bit more offensively.
Yeah, and I forget which game it was this season when Jalen Ramsey was just embarrassed, it looked like a shell of his former self. So if that's really the Jalen Ramsey that there is, I'd be curious to see how Herbert attacks that. Is it going to be? Well, obviously Ramsey wouldn't be guarding Gadsden, but if you have mismatches, is he going to be a factor? Is it going to be a Johnston resurgence? Is it going to be McConkey? Is it going to be Allen? Which Chargers target would be the beneficiary of less than enthused Jalen Ramsey?
It could be Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is he just feels like the safety valve, because him and Herbie have played together for a while. They know each other. I feel that Keenan Allen is always the guy he's just around. And he knows how to read Herbie, and he's there when he needs him the most. So I think that's what it's going to be. I think one of these receivers are going to be able to leak out and cause some havoc for sure.
Yeah, and it would create not the enviable situation for Pittsburgh with Baltimore playing the way they are right now to drop this one. Getting into their every other win one, lose one, win one, lose one.
Well, we know Baltimore's winning the division because all of America has said this, so it's a foregone conclusion, So the Steelers need to come out every game acting like it's a do or die situation and handle it, because all of America and all Vegas and everybody is picking Baltimore to bounce back and win this division. So this is a game definitely the Steelers want to win, because this very well could come down to some seeding come playoff time.
Ready for our favorite game, Bucks McGee?
Oh, yeah. And that would be
extra points.
And it's good. 68 yarders all day here, baby.
That's right. Breaking records every Thursday and Sunday night.
Call me Bucks Cam Little. I'm here.
All right. So this extra points segment is going to be a little bit of a QB injury roundtable. There's a few news items that have come up in the last week, and the first one, CJ Stroud got his bell rung a little bit last week, and he is in concussion protocol. Will not play against the Jags. The Texans are, of course, holding on for dear life, but the Jags also barely beat the Raiders last week. So is this a situation where the Texans defense, as long as Davis Mills isn't a turnover machine, they can do just enough to help them survive, or is Trevor Lawrence going to get back going against a Texas team that literally now has nothing?
Honestly, the Jags need this game. They really do. They just got, Jacoby Myers. I think he's going to open up that offense a bit more. I can't trust the Texans. I really can't. Their defense is great, but that offense is so anemic. And like you said, Davis Mills, I don't know if he's going to throw for 350 and 4 touchdowns. I don't see that in him. He's a serviceable guy. I'm not going to knock him, but I think the Jags defense isn't, they aren't scrubs either. So I think what it's going to come down to,
I thought they weren't scrubs either, and then Brock Bowers went apeshit on them.
And, everyone, but their whole body of work overall that against who's the Brock Bowers on this vaunted Texans offense?
I don't think
I'll
they
give
have any.
I'll give you a minute.
I don't think they have anyone that amounts to Brock Bowers' cleats.
So I think the Jags will find a way to win it. I can't trust the Texans. I think the Texans I'll keep it tight because of their defense, but they can't run the ball. Mills throwing the ball, I just really don't see it happening. So I think the Jags walked into a good situation this week, and they should be able to handle business.
Yeah, we don't want to show disrespect towards Nico Collins, but I think Nico Collins is a product of an actual quarterback throwing the ball and not someone like Davis Mills.
Exactly. But we say this and we joke, and next thing this week, Nico Collins goes for 2 touchdowns and 200 yards, and we're like, wow, we're fools.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll revisit this topic Sunday night if we need to wear the egg on our face.
Yep, but it'll be 2 catches for 15 yards. I'll be like, wow, yep. Guess we were, but you never know. Like I said, these weird games, weirder things have happened. But yeah, I think the Jags are pulling this one out.
Since you brought it up, and being that we have a similar topic in our next game to discuss, Jacoby Myers. I think this is a good acquisition for Jacksonville. As much as I hate to give them credit for anything.
Yeah, we know you do. With Travis Hunter being all nicked up and such, they needed a legit wide receiver, and Myers has been good. Coming from New England to the Raiders, now to Jacksonville. So I think it gives another weapon, for Sunshine, aka Trevor, to do his thing. It's going to help spread the offense out a little bit, the defense out a little bit, and the run game hopefully will pick up a little extra steam. But I think it's a solid trade, and they needed something on this offense.
Well, especially as you mentioned the quarterback play, because he was in New England when they didn't, in the post Brady era where there wasn't exactly much going on there, and then going to the Raiders, which is never exactly the kingdom of quarterback greatness.
Yeah, that's Great Kingdom. Not really, but you know what? He showed his wares, and he was rewarded. Now he's on a winning team, a little better situation. So he's probably going to make the most of it. And I think he's got one more year left on his contract. I'm not sure, but he's playing for a new contract, and we'll see if Jacksonville, gives him some love. But he's got a quarterback, so there's no excuses now.
No, final test to see if he's not a bust.
There you go.
Next up, interestingly enough, another team that had a wide receiver acquisition at the trade deadline. Bucks McGee, you no longer have to hate Rashid Shaheed.
I wish you nothing but the best, Shaheed, my boy. Good luck in Seattle. Much love, respect you. There's the Saints doing some 8 things as always. You got talent, and you ship them off when you should have been shipping off talent years ago. Seattle is dangerous, man. I like it. I think it's a great pickup. Now you've got Najigba, you got this kid. The run game is a 2-headed monster. This team is serious, man. The offense is there. Sam Darnold is about to eat.
Yeah, I think so too. Although I don't have quite the confidence in their running game. I think it's two very average backs at the current moment. They're both very talented backs, but their production's very average. But of course, our extra point story here would be quarterbacks, and that is shifting to the other side of the ball. The Arizona Cardinals deciding to shelve Kyler Murray for a while with his foot injury, and handing the reins to Jacoby Brissett. So, I mean, on one hand, it's like this should be low-hanging fruit for Seattle to keep up with the winner of Rams and Niners. But, yeah, I mean, good decision, bad decision for the Cards to shelve Kyler.
Jacoby Brissett is the man in Arizona, boy. Look at him do his thing. The man sat there behind the greatest of all time, did his time, moved around a bit, and here he is. Yeah, Kyler Murray, it's time to move on. It's time to move on from this failed experiment. It really it's over. I honestly think in the offseason they're gonna look to ship him somewhere. I think it's time. It's not working out. Now he's got the foot thing, so he's out for at least 4 weeks. And I think it'll be longer. I for some reason I just don't get the feeling that he's hell bent on coming back. I think he's content trying to get shipped somewhere. Where he'll go, I don't know. But I think it's time that they both part ways. Maybe he goes back to baseball. I don't know. But you got to give Jacoby Brissett credit. He's kept this team fighting, and they're better offensively with him as the starter. They really are. They move the ball. Yeah, he can't run like Kyler, but the man can sit in the pocket and deliver a pass.
Yeah, and he had quite the confidence boost last week in playing the Cowboys defense.
Yeah, it helps the stats, when you play, Big D there. But at the same time, I think since he's taken over, this offense has just looked better. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. shown up. Like, let's be realistic. Like before, Jacoby took over, that guy, he wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
So give Arizona credit, ride out the Brissett train, and see where it takes you.
Yeah. Do you think it will take them to an upset win here with Seattle's very average home performance, or will the Seahawks roll and keep pace with the winner of Rams-Niners?
It's basically the Seahawks pass game versus the secondary of Arizona. That's what it is. If they can somehow keep the pass game somewhat pedestrian, which I don't know if they can, keep it somewhat close. Maybe they can steal something in the fourth quarter. I don't know, but it's a tall task. I think they'll be competitive, but I just right now, Seattle is just firing.
Yes, and our final topic of the segment. This one's a bit of a sad note of a QB injury because we all witnessed Jayden Daniels' gruesome dislocated elbow on Sunday night, and it doesn't particularly get easier. Washington must continue this nightmare of a season they've had, getting embarrassed by Seattle, and now they host the Lions, who have just as equally a dangerous offense as the Seahawks have. So is this a situation where the Washington just has to be like, all right, throw the towel in, season's over, take the licks in this one, and get ready for the draft?
It's funny how a Hail Mary can change your outlook and change your season.
Yes.
The Hail Mary could have, in theory, been the kiss of death. Because, they had this magical ride last year, and then they came in with all the fanfare this year. They were supposed to be the darlings. They were going to take over the NFC East. They were Super Bowl contenders, and now they're sitting there and hot, just puddle of mess. No, they've got to try to win, but, it's a tall task. This team is decent, but once Daniels gets hurt, give all respect to Mariota and all, but I don't see Mariota going on some magical run and somehow getting a wild card for this team. The defense is really rough, especially the linebacker core. I think it's a situation where they're going to do their best, but I think the season's over for Washington.
Dan Quinn took the blame, but is it fair? Do you put the blame on him for not pulling Daniels in a game they were otherwise getting their rear ends handed to them?
I kind of see why he keeps him in. It was one of those things where maybe he was like, let's get him some reps. Let's try to end the game on a positive note going into next week. But when you're getting it handed to you like that, just pull the guy, because you don't know. Football is just one of those games where literally guys turn the wrong way by themselves and hurt them and blow Achilles and stuff like that. So I hate to use the word blame, I do and I don't. I get what he was doing, but yeah, if it was me, yeah, he would have been sitting the bench and we just would have said, okay, it is what it is. We're not going to get some magical run and pull this game out, but it is what it is. And now your franchise guy is out for the foreseeable future, probably the season. He's done. By the time he comes back and such, just let him heal up. Yeah, just at this point, the Cowboys will overtake. The Giants may overtake you. Let's be real here. Just rest him, let his elbow get right, and get ready for the next year. Because if not, and we've talked about this, could be just another RG3 situation.
Yeah, sadly, and it flicks the exact same franchise.
Yeah, exactly. And it was against the same team too. I was watching somewhere. It was like against the same team. So yeah, you would have thought he would have pulled them and just said, okay, let's just move on to next week. But competitors are competitors.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess the silver lining is at least it wasn't his legs. And it wasn't his throwing arm; it was his off arm. So it's a gruesome injury, but it's not one that affects a critical part of who he is as a player.
No, definitely, but it's definitely a learning situation for both Dan Quinn and Washington to sit there and say, all right, when we know we're getting our doors blown off, let's just regroup and move on to next week. So, yeah.
Pull our injury-prone quarterback. Do you think we get the usual Lions this week, or are we going to get the Lions that kind of can have some mental lapses and throw up a stinker once in a while?
If I'm the Lions, you need to make sure that you're tight and right, because right now this is probably the next 2 or 3 weeks. I think this is when you'll kind of see what the NFC is about to become. I think at that point, that's when the races heat up. You kind of figure out where you're going to be. And if the Lions want to be that team, that's destined for the Super Bowl, like, we've been told the last 2 years or so, like, this is it. It's their time. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's like, it's their time. This is it, and they haven't been able to kick down the door. Pretty soon, you're going to start going the way of the Niners, where it's like, at least the Niners made the Super Bowl, but how many times can you get there and not win it? So I think the Lions really need to say, okay, time to put the nose to the grindstone and let's get this going, because if they keep messing around, the number 1 seed they're going to lose it.
Like you said last week, they haven't been admitted yet, but they're busy shotgunning beers in the parking lot of the penthouse.
Yeah,
so they're close.
they're getting close. They get into the buffet, but then they get kicked out because they don't have a room. And you know how hotels are. If you ain't got a room, you don't get to hang after the buffet. You got to go. So that's the thing, because you got to be careful, because a team like Seattle, if they catch hot, Seattle could end up the number 1 seed. We don't know.
Oh, yeah.
The NFC has has probably 3 or 4 teams where it's like they go on a run. They could leapfrog Detroit. Detroit has to understand that they aren't, superhuman, and they're just going to waltz into the number 1 seed.
Although, ironically enough, the way this season's gone, maybe Seattle would prefer to be a wild card team and play every game on the road.
Yeah, because no one cares. No teams are like, whoa, we're going to Seattle? That's really nice. Let's go there and visit. There's like one guy screaming his head off in the stadium. Everyone else is out getting nachos or whatever. No one cares anymore. Like, you'd watch games back in the day, you'd be like, damn, man, I'm glad I don't have to go to Seattle to play, man. That's a scary place.
Yeah. Well, as the world changes with Seattle's home field advantage, our world remains consistent. Sunday Scaries with Buccs McGee every Thursday and Sunday night throughout the season. Sir, take us off air with your final thoughts as we kick off Week 10.
Week 10, the aftermath of trades. Some teams have profited. Some teams, we have no idea what the hell they were doing. But it is what it is. Yes, that's you, Indianapolis. You got your piece. Now you make it work. Not unlike the Jets, who just give it all away and like don't know what they're doing next year. It is what it is. Everyone, if your team's a winning team, enjoy that. If you're a Jets fan, I'm sorry. It is what it is, but there's maybe next year.